Good to see you. Thanks for making time for this. So this is a discussion between you and me for Liquidity Club, which is this platform working with scaling companies globally. And we're talking about topics that CEOs around the world, quite honestly, in different sectors should be aware of as they grow their companies. And it's March of 2023. Lots has changed. You're a very experienced tech guy in the life sciences space. So what I wanted to do was just talk to you about what's going on in that sector, about your company, your background, lessons you've learned. So I've got a series of questions that we can kind of go through. We got 20 minutes, so we'll try to be as efficient as you possibly can do. So the first is introducing you to the community. So you're a good friend of mine. You and I have worked together like in 4 different companies going back to the mid 1990s. You did Handspring, I think, and we did Klug. You did Palm. I'm sorry, the Palm Pilot, and then you were at Facebook and all these companies. So maybe a 2-minute review of your career, what you've done, who you are. That would be great.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me today. I'm really excited to help answer some of these questions and share some background about myself. So I started, my early career, I started out in Palm when Palm was moving over from the Motorola 68K processor to the ARM processor. So I was one of the folks in the engineering team working as an engineer. And I know you had supported Handspring, which was another company related to Palm, where my twin brother was at around the same time working on hardware and stuff. So I spent about 20 years working in the tech industry, mostly in startups and some medium and large size company. Been through several acquisitions, and I always had a passion for the life sciences industry and also like just science in general. So I actually started out in school as a microbiome major, but I switched over to computer engineering because I liked writing code. And after that, I started writing code and working on enterprise and consumer products over 20 years. Then I got the opportunity to start Klug, where I joined my twin brother to build a wearable and digital health startup in the IoT space. And we built Klug for a few years, and that was acquired by Facebook. And we spent a few years at Facebook. And then I jumped out of Facebook, where I was interested again to get back into the life sciences space when Roche and Genentech came my way. And I actually took this leap of faith and entered a completely new industry in the life sciences sector to learn more around pharmaceuticals and how life sciences industry operates and see what kind of pain points they have and help them with building a new digital health business within Roche. So I did that for a few years, and that led me to come out and start a company called Rainsphere, which is really around data analytics and visualization and AI tools, essentially helping with the data that life sciences and healthcare industry are sitting on. So that's kind of what Rainsphere is looking into doing right now.
Which raises an interesting question, which is you built this platform to be used by life sciences companies to do drug innovation or any other kind of endeavor that they wish to pursue. How did you know what to build into the platform, right? Because you don't have revenues yet, but you've been in the life sciences sector because after you left Facebook, you worked for Roche, right? And so how do you determine what's on the platform? What's the essential function set you need now? What's embedded versus what you have to customize and adapt to your enterprise customers, because they're all different later on. So how do you make that decision?
Well, that's a great question. So in terms of the platform, right, one of the challenges that I see in this industry is a fragmentation of how data is managed across multiple types of systems. Yep. So their infrastructure that they have is quite varying, kind of like more like a bit of spaghetti, if you think about it that way. And they need something where the infrastructure is more managed, or they need to work with one of these large cloud vendors, but then they're vendor locked and price locked, so they can't actually take advantage of multi-cloud type systems and things like that. So one of the first steps was actually building a cloud agnostic and more multi-cloud type system where you can actually take advantage of multiple features and functionality that you can get from the different cloud providers. And then providing that as where it's very easy and seamless for them to build their applications and solutions on top of that when they have access to the data. And the bigger problem that they have is on the data side. Their data, they're sitting on a lot of data, and they're struggling to actually understand and actually analyze this data. And this may be data that's been sitting there for many years and is exponentially growing. So they really need solutions in this space to be able to connect to these data sources, build tools and applications to actually analyze the data and visualize it. That's the last step. And these are groups that are, folks that would like to have like drag and drop, very seamless ways to actually look at data and be able to say, hey, what kind of insight can I find in this data? And that's from scientific data as well as, operational data from workflow and clinical trials and things like that.
So you're in a very sensitive area where you're right, data and patient data and privacy concerns and regulatory oversight of your customers is paramount, right? I mean, they can't work with anybody that doesn't have protections in place, security protocols in place, proven. And you're a startup and you're working with much bigger companies that have budgets and are asking you to undertake critical functions for them. So how do you build, and you mentioned that when you built your platform, you took some existing cloud feature sets, right? So on the security side of things, which is really a sort of a gating item for you, did you build that yourself? Did you get it from somewhere else? I mean, how do you kind of address the privacy, the regulatory concerns as a threshold issue working with large life science companies that are your customers?
So that's a great question as well. So on the security side, it's a highly regulated industry, the most regulated industry. And one of the key learnings that we had at during my time, especially in Roche and Genentech, was that you have to build a lot of your software and technology under a system called like a quality management system, and then you need to also make sure you manage the data following all of the different compliances, whether it's HIPAA or GDPR, as well as ISO 27001. So we work towards all those certifications. And our platform is built with numerous open source components, as well as features and functionality that may come from the different cloud providers. And then it's secured via different, even security partners and vendors that provide a certain functionality. Maybe it's like identity management or some other type of functionality that exists. So it's a collection of actually making these types of systems work together, and then securing that data in a way that is regulatory compliant, and actually that's all certified through the certifications audits that you would get from an ISO 27001 certification.
The point being that you don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? You take what exists, you have to integrate it together. You have to make sure it's functioning as a single solution set and all of that. Now, I want to go on to the next issue, which you've got your first large enterprise customer, right? Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And there's two main issues, and we're not going to identify the customer or anything like that, but key issues in that discussion were intellectual property ownership and their fascination with you, your solution, your team, and their overture to you to integrate into them, right? And so you had to make a key decision, which is go solo or go with this big customer. They kind of lead you to revenue and all of that, and you could incubate your company within their environment. Why did you decide to go solo? What were the, number one, number two, how do you protect your intellectual property?
So with this these partners that we're working with, we essentially build out their solutions, and that's their ownership. They own that IP, and then as they move forward in their solution, they will be using different components and parts of our system when needed, and we will provide tools on top of that. And that's why it made sense to do this. So we're developing a number of tools that actually will help them with their final workflow that they want to actually get to once they have that, the data assets that they're trying to actually acquire at this point. It made a lot of sense in terms of partnership. And as a startup, you have to be flexible to work through these types of models. And it's actually a great partnership, and I'm really looking forward to working with these partners.
Yeah, and really what you have to do is you have to sort of navigate commitment and dedication of resources, meaning people and talent to this first big customer, and then other opportunities you're pursuing at the same time as a young company with limited resources yourself. So toggling that balance is going to be hard to do. How do you address that? Just basically, say in 30 seconds. How do you divide your resources? Is it everything devoted to one company? Everything else is on the back burner. How do you toggle that?
So we have a balanced approach where the priority is obviously the customer and the partner. So our resources will be dedicated to working with these partners to get their solutions stood up. At the same time, we have our roadmap that we're working towards, and we'll be, we just stretch out that roadmap and schedule for those projects as time progresses. So essentially, we're prioritizing the customer, and as we build out our own solution as well.
Okay. We're in 2023. It's a difficult funding market. And you are a startup. You've bootstrapped this to date. You've actually got some investment into the company already. So in a sense, you're post-seed, but you put a lot of your own resources into the company. What are your thoughts on raising money in 2023? Do you put that in the back burner? Do you generate revenue and the revenue pipeline, prove the business, then go back in 2024? Or how do you navigate the current capital markets?
Yeah, it is definitely a tough fundraising market today. I think what we're doing is we're really focused on generating customer revenue and a customer pipeline and building traction with them. I think having that metric aligned will prepare us better for fundraising later down the year or even early next year. And it'll also give us what we need to continue to build out our company. And so that's kind of the direction that we've chosen to go.
Okay. And when you go out to institutions to raise capital, what is the messaging you're going to say about Rainsphere? Are you going to say, this is what what kind of metrics do you point to show that this is getting momentum? You've not talked about a lot of this. You've got cost savings for the customer. You can track that. You can track a pipeline of revenue, but that's uncertain in this environment. You can track different initiatives that take you throughout life sciences and different major players. What do you think? Basically, and you've had some of these discussions already. What resonates? What's most important for investors to hear? Do you think that you've got to prove in 2023?
Yeah, I think number one thing they're looking at is what's the value proposition that our company brings to the life sciences industry and these customers, and they're going to look at what kind of traction we have in terms of like who are the customers, what the customers are signing up to do with us, what products are they going to use with us that we're building in our pipeline, and how the solution scaled over time, and what kind of recurring revenue is actually tied into these different programs. So they're going to actually look at what's the potential of like how this business can grow.
All right, so it's really proving what your thesis is on how this platform can have utility for your customers, how they're going to use it. You're going to have use patterns. You're also going to have customer acquisition metrics, right, and what it takes. Okay, some minor points before we close off. You're in business with actually not only your twin brother, but your other brother, right? So you got three brothers in the business, and I want to know about the dynamic of working with your brothers. Why did you do it this way? I mean, they're brilliant guys. I know that. So it's working great. I know. What do you have to do to make sure it does work great? So there's lots of entrepreneurs out there. They want to work with their buddies, their friends. Good idea, bad idea. What guardrails do you put in place? Just thoughts on that.
Sure. So actually, it's one of my brothers. That's the one that worked with me previously. He's working with us.
Okay.
It's a wonderful experience. There's obviously, we're kind of two sides of a coin, right? He keeps balance. We keep balance of each other, and so keeps us honest in terms of like going in certain directions. So it's actually been really good working with him, and it's exciting working with him again. There's also times where like if he's upset about something that we're doing, then we kind of like, it's easy to sort out much more than, when you have other co-founders. From the stories I've heard from some of my friends have co-founded companies where the founders have ran into problems. Luckily, we've been able to work together very well. And it's actually been a dream for us to work together, for instance, we were kids. And this is the second time we're getting to do this again.
Okay. Final question. That we're talking to our membership at Liquidity Club, which are growing companies, scaling companies like yourself. They're in different sectors. You're building your company, and there are things you know about your business, things you've got to prove. There's probably a lot that you don't know, right? So tell me two things that, if you were to talk to another CEO in the life sciences space, what kind of experience would you want, feedback, ideas, thoughts that would really help you? And the reason I'm asking this question is because that actually helps us with, what kind of content, communication protocols, and user patterns we should prepare for our community. So what keeps you awake at night? Two things.
Sure. I think the first question I would ask them is, I know that many of the life science companies, they evaluate and work with a numerous number of different vendors, and most of the time they're unhappy with them. In fact, I saw that as an experience while I was at Roche and Genentech.
Yeah.
I would the number one question I would ask them was like, why is that? Why is it so difficult to find the right partner and vendor in terms of like working with them to solve their challenges that they have? And how do they actually, work with a technology-oriented company that can understand their problem statement? Because that's one of the challenges they always see, is that they're not actually understanding this domain, and they're not understanding how the solution is made, even including the early customer that we recently signed. And one of the reasons I think it really helped me spending time in the life science industry is helped with us being able to understand their problems, where they've worked with other tech partners and it has not been the best experience from what I understand from them. And working with us going forward looks like it's going to be positive because we actually listen to them.
So your pain point in this business is on the scaling side of what you've got to do is talent, vendors, working with outside innovation groups to augment your core team and scale from that, and finding out how other folks do it, different reference sources, things like that. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, well, best of luck to you, Niaz. Great journey that you're on. I'm part of it, as you know. It's exciting.
Yes,
And I do want to, I want to thank you for the time that you spent with our community, and we'll take it from there. Okay.